The massive warship Void Hunter moved through space like a silent beast. Its dark metal hull stretched for 3 kilometers, covered in weapons that could destroy entire cities. Inside the ship, the celebration was loud and wild. Commander Vexthar raised his clawed hand high above his head. His reptilian skin gleamed under the bright lights of the main hall. Sharp teeth filled his mouth as he smiled at his warriors. "Another victory for the Predator Corps," Vexthar shouted. His voice echoed through the room. "The rebels thought they could hide from us. They were wrong." The other soldiers cheered. Lieutenant Kralnos clicked his mandibles together in approval. His insect-like face had 4 compound eyes that sparkled with different colors. Each eye could see things that most creatures could never imagine. 12 rebel ships destroyed, Kralnos said. His voice buzzed like a swarm of angry bees. Not one of them escaped. "We are the perfect hunters." Sergeant Zixara stretched her long arms above her head. Her cat-like body moved with smooth grace. Her golden fur caught the light as she showed her razor-sharp claws. "They screamed when they saw us coming," Zixara purred. "Just like all prey should scream when they face real predators." The other members of the Predator Corps laughed and roared their agreement. There were warriors from 12 different worlds in the room. Each one came from a species that had evolved from the deadliest hunters on their home planets. The Sauridians, like Vexthar, had ruled their world for millions of years. Their claws could cut through steel. Their reflexes were faster than lightning. Their scales could stop most weapons. The Mantesians, like Kralnos, had hunted in perfect silence for eons. They could see heat, electricity, and even the fear in their prey. Their blade-like arms could strike 20 times in a single second. The Felixians, like Zixara, were the perfect night hunters. They could see in complete darkness. They could hear a heartbeat from a kilometer away. They could smell fear from across a battlefield. Each species had spent millions of years becoming the ultimate predator. Now they worked together as the Galactic Predator Corps. They were the most feared military unit in known space. "We are evolution's greatest achievement," Vexthar declared. "We are what happens when nature creates the perfect killer." In the corner of the celebration hall, a human sat quietly at a small table. Kim Taman wore the same gray uniform as the others, but he looked nothing like a predator. He was average height with dark hair and brown eyes. His hands looked soft, not made for killing. He had no claws, no fangs, no special abilities that anyone could see. Taman watched the celebration with calm interest. He did not cheer or roar like the others. He simply observed everything around him with steady eyes. "Hey, human," Zixara called out. She walked over to Taman's table with her fluid movements. "Why are you not celebrating? We just won another great victory." Taman looked up at the cat-like warrior. "It was a good mission," he said simply, "clean and efficient." Kralnos buzzed over to join them, his 4 eyes focused on Taman from different angles. "You humans are strange," the insect warrior said. "You show no excitement for the hunt, no joy in victory." "We appreciate success," Taman replied. "We just show it differently." Vexthar approached the group. His heavy footsteps made the floor shake slightly. "Tell us, communications officer," the commander said. "What great victories has Earth contributed to our recent campaigns?" Taman thought for a moment. "Humans mainly serve in support roles," he said. "We handle logistics, communications, research. We make sure the real warriors have everything they need." The Predator warriors laughed. Zixara's whiskers twitched with amusement. "Support roles," she repeated. "How fitting for a prey species." "Your people achieved space travel through intelligence," Kralnos observed. "Not through strength or hunting skill. You built machines to do what your bodies could not." Vexthar nodded his massive head. "Humans are clever, I will give you that," he said. "But cleverness only goes so far. In the end, the universe belongs to the predators." Taman listened to their words without any change in expression. He did not seem insulted or angry. He just absorbed the information like he absorbed everything else. "Earth has no apex predators," Zixara said. "I have read the reports. Your strongest animals are weak compared to what we faced on our worlds. How did your species even survive? We adapted, Taman said simply. Adapted, Vexithar repeated with a snort. You hid in caves and built tools because you were too weak to fight with your bare hands. The other predators laughed again. They had heard stories about Earth's animals. None of them seemed particularly dangerous. Bears and lions and sharks were impressive to humans, but they were nothing compared to the creatures that had shaped the predator species. Your world sounds peaceful, Kralnos said. No real challenges. No pressure to evolve into something deadly. Taman nodded thoughtfully. Earth was different, he agreed. The celebration continued around them. Warriors told stories of their greatest hunts. They compared scars and kills. They boasted about the fear they inspired in their enemies. Commander Vexithar called for attention. The room grew quiet as all eyes turned to him. Tomorrow we have a new mission, he announced. A research station has gone dark. Probably just equipment failure, but we need to investigate. He looked directly at Taman. This seems like a perfect job for our human friend. Low risk, mostly technical work. Right up your species' specialty. The predators chuckled at this. Assignment: sending the human to handle a simple technical problem while the real warriors rested. The station is on Kethmore, Vexthar continued. Remote location, small research team. Should be an easy mission for someone with your skills. Taman stood up from his table. I'll prepare immediately, he said. As he walked toward the exit, Zixara called after him. Try not to be too scared, little human. I'm sure it is just broken computers. Taman paused at the doorway. For just a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Something that none of the predators noticed because they were not looking for it. I'm sure you're right, Taman said quietly. Then he left the hall. The predator warriors returned to their celebration. They did not think about the human again that night. Why would they? He was just support personnel, just another clever prey species that had somehow reached the stars. They had no idea that they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. In his quarters, Taman sat at his desk and began to prepare. He pulled up files on Kethmore. He studied the research station's layout. He reviewed the crew manifest and their specialties. Most importantly, he sent a coded message to Earth. A message that would never appear in any official communication logs. The message was simple. Target acquired. Beginning assessment. Outside, his window, the stars continued their ancient dance. Somewhere among them, an old danger was stirring, and the galaxy's so-called predators had just sent the one species that truly understood what it meant to hunt. The Void Hunter dropped out of hyperspace near the planet Kethmore. The brown and gray world spun slowly in the darkness. No lights came from its surface. No signals reached the warship. Commander Vexthar stood on the bridge with his arms crossed. His reptilian eyes studied the scanner displays. The research station should be right there, he said, pointing with one clawed finger. Lieutenant Kralnos buzzed closer to the main screen. His compound eyes analyzed the data from multiple angles. I see the station structure, he reported. But no power signatures, no life signs, nothing. The space station orbited Kethmore like a metal spider. It had been built to study the planet's ancient geology. 37 scientists and security guards had worked there for the past 2 years. Now, it was completely dark. Probably just a power failure, Sergeant Zixara said. Her cat-like ears twitched as she spoke. These remote stations always have technical problems. Taman stood quietly behind the main group. He watched the scanner readings with careful attention. His brown eyes moved across each display, taking in every detail. Bring us closer, Vexthar ordered. We need to dock and investigate. The Void Hunter moved toward the silent station. As they got closer, more details became visible. The station's hull looked undamaged. No blast marks from weapons. No signs of impact from asteroids or debris. Hull integrity is perfect, Kralnos reported. All docking ports are functional. Whatever happened, it was not an external attack. They docked with a soft thud that echoed through both ships. The airlock systems activated automatically. Green lights showed that the atmosphere was safe to breathe. Simple technical problem, Zixara said with confidence. We will have this fixed in an hour. The team moved through the airlock into the research station. Emergency lighting cast red shadows on the walls. Their footsteps echoed in the empty corridors. The first sign of trouble came when they reached the main laboratory. The door was hanging open, twisted off its hinges. Deep scratches marked the metal walls around the entrance. "Those are claw marks," Vexthar said. He ran his own claws along one of the gouges. "But they go much deeper than mine could reach." Inside the laboratory, they found the first body. Dr. Park Minho had been the station's lead xenobiologist. His body lay near an overturned desk. His research papers were scattered across the floor. But what made the Predator warriors step back, in shock, was how he had died. The human scientist had been torn apart with surgical precision. Each wound was clean and purposeful. No wasted violence, no random destruction. Just efficient killing by something that understood exactly how to end a life. "What could do this?" Zixara whispered. Her enhanced senses detected old blood and fear scent in the air. Taman knelt beside the body. He examined the wounds without any sign of disgust or fear. "The cuts are very precise," he observed. Whatever did this knew human anatomy perfectly. They moved deeper into the station. More bodies appeared in the corridors and rooms. Security guards who had tried to fight back. Scientists who had tried to hide. All killed with the same terrible efficiency. Kralnos used his multiple eyes to analyze the attack patterns. "The killer moved through the station systematically," he reported. "Room by room. No one was missed." "But there are no weapon signatures," Vexthar said. "No blast residue, no chemical traces. How did something kill 37 trained personnel without using any recognizable weapons?" Taman found a working computer terminal in the communications room. He connected his portable device and began downloading the station's logs and security footage. "The last transmission was sent 4 days ago," he reported. Everything seemed normal then. The security cameras told a different story. The footage showed the research team going about their daily work. Dr. Park Minho was particularly excited about something he had discovered in the lower storage levels. "Look at this," Taman said, pointing to the screen. Dr. Park found something in the old specimen containers. The video showed the human scientist examining large metal cylinders in a cold storage room. These containers had been sealed for thousands of years. They were supposed to contain extinct creatures from Kethmore's ancient past. "The labels say Drakthul," Taman read from the display. "According to the files, they were this system's apex, predators before they went extinct 10,000 years ago." Zixara laughed nervously. "Extinct means dead. Dead things cannot hurt anyone." The final security recording was different from the others. Dr. Park appeared on screen looking worried and frightened. His voice shook as he spoke to the camera. "Research. Log final entry," the dead scientist said. "The specimens were not dead, they were hibernating. The containers were not storage units, they were sleeping pods." The image flickered and became unclear. Shadows seemed to move in the background of the video. Something large shifted just outside the camera's view. "The Drakthul have awakened," Dr. Park continued. "They are not like anything in our databases. They are perfect predators. They seem to exist partially outside normal space. They can predict our movements before we make them." A sound came from somewhere behind the camera. A sound like reality tearing apart. Dr. Park's eyes went wide with terror. "If anyone receives this message," he said quickly, "do not come to the station. Do not try to help us. Call for a full military response. These creatures are beyond anything we have ever encountered." The recording ended abruptly. The screen went black. The team stood in silence for several moments. Even the Predator warriors seemed shaken by what they had seen. "Impossible," Vexthar said finally. "No creature could be more dangerous than us. We are the apex predators of the galaxy." The human scientist was probably confused. Kralnos agreed. Fear makes people say stupid things. But Taman was already accessing more files. He pulled up research data about the Drakthul. What he found made him go very still. "According to these studies," he said quietly, "the Drakthul were not just predators. They were dimensional hunters. They could phase in and out of normal reality. They could see across multiple timelines to predict their prey's actions." Zixara's Fur began to stand on end. That is just ancient mythology. Stories to frighten children. A new sound echoed through the station. Something moving in the air vents above their heads. Something large and fluid, like liquid shadow flowing through metal tubes. We should leave, Taman said calmly. Right now. But it was too late. The lights went out completely. In the darkness, they heard something drop into the corridor behind them. Something that breathed like a hurricane and moved like death itself. The Drakthul had found them. Zixara's night vision activated instantly. What she saw in the corridor made her scream in terror. The creature was wrong in every possible way. It existed in too many dimensions at once. Its form shifted and flowed like living nightmare. Run, Taman said simply. For the first time in their lives, the galaxy's greatest predators discovered what it felt like to be prey. The Drakthul moved like liquid darkness through the station corridors. Its shape changed constantly, flowing between dimensions that the predator warriors could not understand. One moment it looked like a giant spider made of shadow. The next moment it appeared as a cloud of living smoke with too many eyes. Sergeant Zixara was the first to face the creature. Her feline instincts told her to attack rather than run. She had never met a predator she could not kill. Stay back, she hissed to the others. Her claws extended to their full length. Her muscles coiled like steel springs. I will handle this. Zixara leaped at the Drakthul with impossible speed. Her claws aimed for what looked like the creature's throat. But the ancient predator was no longer there when she arrived. It had shifted 3 feet to the left without moving. The Drakthul's counterattack came before Zixara could land. Something that might have been a claw or a tentacle or a piece of folded space itself struck her in the chest. The blow sent her flying backward into the metal wall. Blood ran from deep wounds across her golden fur. Her enhanced healing was already working, but she could feel that something was wrong. The cuts burned with cold fire. They felt like they went deeper than just her body. Impossible, she gasped. Nothing is faster than a Phylixian. Lieutenant Kralnos buzzed forward, his compound eyes analyzing the creature from multiple angles. I can see its movement patterns, he declared. 4 eyes see everything. His blade-like arms moved in a blur, striking 20 times per second at different points around the Drakthul. Each strike was perfectly aimed based on where his enhanced vision showed the creature would be, but the Drakthul was not where his eyes predicted. It was not even in the same dimension as his strikes. His blades cut through empty air while the creature's real form materialized behind him. Something wrapped around Kralnos like a living shadow. His exoskeleton, which could stop laser fire, cracked like an eggshell. His 4 eyes went dark as the creature did something to his nervous system that no medical text had ever described. Commander Vexthar roared in fury. His reptilian heritage gave him strength that could crush steel. His scales had turned aside the strongest weapons. His reflexes were faster than computer calculations. I am evolution's perfect killer, he shouted, charging at the Drakthul with his claws extended. The ancient creature regarded him with something that might have been amusement. It did not dodge or phase away this time. Instead, it simply stood still and let Vexthar's claws strike its form. The commander's weapons, evolved over millions of years to cut through any material, passed through the Drakthul like it was made of mist. But the creature's counterattack was very real. It reached out with an appendage that existed in several dimensions at once and touched Vexthar's mind. The proud commander collapsed to his knees, clutching his head. His eyes rolled back as visions of his own death played out in thousands of different possibilities. Each vision was more terrible than the last. The 3 greatest predator warriors in the galaxy had been defeated in less than 30 seconds. Through all of this chaos, Taman had been moving steadily down the corridor. He did not run in panic like prey. He did not attack like a frustrated predator. He simply walked with purpose toward a specific destination. The central laboratory, he called to the others. We need to reach the central laboratory. Zixara, still bleeding from her wounds, looked at him in disbelief. How can you be so calm? That thing just destroyed us. Because panic will not help, Taman replied. He helped Kralnos to his feet while keeping watch on the Drakthul. And we are not destroyed yet. The creature seemed to be studying them, now tilting its impossible head to one side. It had killed 37 researchers without effort. These 4 beings were still alive. That was unusual enough to hold its attention. Move slowly, Taman instructed. Do not make any sudden movements. Do not look directly at it for more than 2 seconds at a time. How do you know what to do? Vexthar demanded. His voice shook from the mental attack he had suffered. I read Dr. Park's research notes, Taman said simply. All of them. They made their way to the central laboratory, the Drakthul following at a distance like a cat playing with wounded mice. The ancient predator seemed curious about these strange beings who did not run screaming like the others had. The central laboratory was the most secure room in the station. Heavy blast doors and reinforced walls surrounded a space filled with advanced research equipment. Taman sealed the doors behind them and activated the security systems. That will not hold it, Kralnos said. His voice buzzed with pain and fear. It can phase through solid matter. It will hold long enough, Taman said. He was already working at the main computer terminal, pulling up files and data streams. Long enough for what? Zixara demanded. To die more slowly? Taman did not answer immediately. He was accessing something called the Emergency Contact Protocol, a communication system that the others had never seen before. The screen flickered and showed the face of a human woman in military uniform. She had sharp eyes and short black hair. Her expression was calm and professional. Captain Lee Soyan, Earth Special Operations, the woman said. Agent Taman, your situation report? Target encountered, Taman replied. Drakthul specimens are active, proceeding to Phase 2. The Predator warriors stared at this exchange in shock. Agent Taman? Earth Special Operations? What was happening? Authorization confirmed, Captain Lee said. You are cleared for full disclosure. Begin education protocol. The communication ended. Taman turned to face the 3 wounded predators. You have questions, he said. I will answer them. But first, you need to understand something important about humans. Outside the laboratory, the Drakthul began testing the defenses. Reality warped around the blast doors as the creature tried different approaches to reach its prey. We are not a support species, Taman continued calmly. We never were. That was just a story we told to make the galaxy feel safe. The first blast door began to buckle under dimensional pressure. Earth did not produce one apex predator, Taman said. It produced dozens of them. Bears, lions, sharks, wolves, eagles, snakes, all living in the same ecosystem, all competing for resources. The second blast door started to crack. Humans survived not by being the strongest or fastest, Taman explained. We survived by being the most adaptable hunters in galactic history. We learned to hunt everything else on our planet, including each other. The third blast door shattered like glass. We are not just predators, Taman said as the Drakthul flowed into the room like living darkness. We are the predator that hunts predators. The ancient creature paused, sensing something different about this small human, something that made its dimensional senses uncertain. Show me what you really are, Taman said quietly to the Drakthul. I have been waiting to meet you for a very long time. The Drakthul flowed into the laboratory like a living shadow, its form shifting between dimensions. The ancient predator moved with the confidence of a creature that had never known defeat. Its presence made reality itself seem unstable. But something was wrong. The small human stood perfectly still, showing no fear. This was not how prey behaved. Even the strongest warriors had run screaming when faced with a Drakthul. Commander Vexthar, still shaking from his mental encounter with the creature, pointed at Taman with a trembling claw. What are you? He demanded. What is Earth Special Operations? Taman's communication device activated again. Captain Lee Soyan's face appeared on the screen, her expression serious but calm. Agent Taman has been operating under deep cover for the past 3 years, she explained to the shocked Predator warriors. His mission was to embed with the Galactic Predator Corps and study their capabilities. Study us? Zixara hissed through her pain. Why would humans need to study predators? Because, Captain Lee continued, humans do not just fight threats, we study them, we learn everything about them. We understand them better than they understand themselves. A new voice joined the conversation. The screen split to show an older, human male with silver hair and cold eyes. His uniform bore the insignia of a general. General Choi Hyunwoo, Human Defense Command, the man introduced himself. Let me explain what your species has never understood about mine. The Drakthul moved closer, its dimensional senses focused on Taman. The creature could sense that this human was different from any prey it had encountered before. Earth was not a peaceful world, General Choi said. It was a death world, a planet where hundreds of apex predators competed in the same ecosystem. Most worlds produce one dominant species. Earth produced dozens. Lieutenant Kralnos buzzed weakly, his compound eyes struggling to focus. That is impossible. Multiple apex predators cannot coexist. They cannot, Taman agreed. That is why most of them are extinct now. Humans hunted them to death. The statement hung in the air like a physical blow. The predator warriors could not process what they were hearing. Humans did not evolve to be the strongest, General Choi continued. We evolved to be the most persistent. We are pursuit predators. We follow our prey until it dies of exhaustion. We track targets across continents and decades. But you have no natural weapons, Vexthar protested. No claws, no fangs, no armor. We do not need them, Taman said simply. We make better ones. From his seemingly standard equipment belt, Taman produced a device that none of the aliens recognized. It looked like a simple metal cylinder, but it hummed with contained energy. This is a dimensional stabilizer, he explained. Human technology designed specifically for creatures like the Drakthul. We have been studying your species for 200 years. The ancient predator suddenly stopped moving. Its form flickered as if it was having trouble maintaining its dimensional phase. Impossible, Zixara whispered. You said they were extinct. How could you study them? We found their remains throughout this sector, Captain Lee answered. Every world they had ever visited, every species they had ever hunted, we reconstructed their biology, their behavior patterns, their dimensional abilities. Humans do not wait for threats to find us, General Choi added. We find them first. We study them. We prepare for them. Every human in the galactic military is not just a soldier. They are researchers gathering intelligence on potential enemies. The Drakthul tried to phase through the walls, but the dimensional stabilizer was affecting its abilities. For the first time in its ancient life, the creature was trapped in normal space. You see, Taman said, walking slowly toward the confused predator. Humans have a unique trait among galactic species. We actively hunt things that are more dangerous than ourselves. We call it sport. He pulled out another device. This one looked like a weapon, but it was unlike anything the predator warriors had ever seen. This fires projectiles through multiple dimensions simultaneously, Taman explained. It was designed after we studied Drakthul remains and determined how their phasing abilities worked. The ancient creature tried to retreat, but found itself unable to escape normal space. Its dimensional senses were being blocked by technology it could not understand. On Earth, humans hunted creatures much larger and stronger than themselves, General Choi said. Mammoths, cave bears, giant cats with teeth like swords. We used tools, tactics, and teamwork to kill things that could crush us easily. But those were just animals, Kralnos protested, not intelligent predators. We hunted intelligent predators too, Taman said quietly. We hunted each other. For thousands of years, humans hunted other humans. We learned to predict behavior, set traps, use psychology as a weapon. The Drakthul made a sound like reality screaming. It was trying to use its fear-inducing abilities, projecting terror directly into the minds of its prey. The predator warriors collapsed under the mental assault. Visions of their own deaths filled their minds. But Taman stood unaffected, watching, the creature with calm interest. Psychological warfare, he observed. Interesting. Our records suggested you might have this ability. How are you not affected? Zixara gasped. Training, Taman replied. Humans have been using fear as a weapon for millennia. We developed methods to resist it long before we left Earth. The ancient predator was becoming desperate. It had never encountered prey that could not be killed, could not be escaped, could not be frightened. The truth is, Captain Lee said from the screen, humans are not apex predators. We are something much worse. We are the species that hunts apex predators. Every creature that evolution produced to be the ultimate killer, General Choi added, we made extinct. Not because we were stronger or faster, but because we were more persistent and more intelligent. Taman raised his multi-dimensional weapon and aimed it at the Drakthul. Your species made one critical mistake, he told the ancient creature. You went to sleep for 10,000 years. That gave us time to study you. Time to prepare. Time to learn exactly how to kill you, he added softly. The Drakthul tried one final desperate attack, pouring all of its dimensional power into a reality-warping assault, but Taman was ready. He had studied this exact attack pattern in the laboratory simulations. The Predator warriors watched in stunned silence as their seemingly helpless human companion systematically dismantled a creature that had defeated them. In seconds. This is impossible, Vexthar whispered. No, Taman corrected as he prepared to fire the killing shot. This is just Tuesday. The multidimensional weapon fired with a sound like reality tearing apart. The projectile passed through normal space, hyperspace, and 3 other dimensions simultaneously. The Drakthul tried to phase away, but there was nowhere to go. The bullet existed in every possible location at once. The ancient predator's scream echoed across multiple dimensions as the weapon found its mark. For the first time in 10,000 years, a Drakthul felt pain. Real, unavoidable pain. But it was not dead. The creature's form flickered and shifted, trying to repair the damage. Its dimensional abilities were weakening, but it was still incredibly dangerous. Fascinating, Taman said, observing the wounded predator with scientific interest. The self-repair mechanisms are even more advanced than our models predicted. He fired again. This time the Drakthul managed to partially phase the attack, but the bullet still found pieces of its essence across multiple dimensions. The creature stumbled, its form becoming less stable. How? Commander Vexthar gasped. How can you fight something like this? Practice, Taman replied simply. He fired a third shot, this one aimed at what his studies had identified as the creature's dimensional anchor point. Humans have been practicing warfare for our entire existence. The Drakthul tried to retreat, flowing toward the laboratory's air vents. But Taman had predicted this move. He activated another device, and energy barriers sealed every possible escape route. You studied us. The creature spoke for the first time, its voice coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. But we did not study you. This was our mistake. Yes, Taman agreed. It was. The 4th shot finally brought the ancient predator down. Its form collapsed into normal space, no longer able to maintain its dimensional shifting. The creature that had terrorized entire star systems lay dying on the laboratory floor. Lieutenant Kralno stared at the scene with his compound eyes wide. You killed it, he buzzed in disbelief. You actually killed a Drakthul. No, Taman corrected. I killed this Drakthul. According to our scans, there are 6 more active specimens in the station. The Predator warriors looked at him in horror. 6 more of these creatures? They had barely survived encountering one. But do not worry, Taman continued, checking his weapon's power levels. I came prepared for all of them. Over the next hour, the galaxy's supposed apex predators watched in stunned silence as a single human systematically hunted down and eliminated 6 ancient dimensional predators. Each kill was different, requiring new tactics and weapons as Taman adapted to the creature's individual abilities. The 5th Drakthul tried to hide in the station's computer systems, existing as living data. Taman used a quantum virus to track it down and delete its consciousness. The 6th creature attempted to possess one of the Predator warriors. Taman activated a psionic dampener that forced the entity back into its own body. where it could be killed conventionally. The seventh and final Drakthul was the largest and oldest. It had been hibernating the longest and retained more of its original power. This one could bend reality itself, creating pocket dimensions and time loops. Taman fought it through 17 different layers of twisted space-time, using weapons and tactics that the Predator warriors could not even comprehend. The battle lasted 30 minutes and left scorch marks across multiple dimensions. When it was over, the station was quiet except for the sound of Taman reloading his weapons. "How?" Sergeant Zixara whispered. "How did you do this?" Taman looked at the 3 wounded Predator warriors. They had considered themselves the ultimate evolution of hunting instincts. Now they knew better. "Humans are not stronger than you," he explained patiently. "We are not faster. We do not have better natural weapons or armor." He gestured at the remains of the Drakthul scattered throughout the laboratory. "But we have something none of you have. We have the patience to spend centuries studying our enemies before we fight them." Captain Lee Soyan's voice came from the communication device. "Agent Taman, mission status?" "All Drakthul specimens eliminated," Taman reported. "Full behavioral and combat data collected. Ready for extraction." "Excellent work," Captain Lee replied. "This data will be invaluable for our defensive preparations." "Commander," Vexthar found his voice. "Defensive preparations against what?" "Against everything," General Choi answered from the screen. "Humans have identified over 300 potential threats in this galaxy. Species that could potentially become hostile to human interests." "You mean," Kralnos said slowly, "you are studying all of us?" "Of course," Taman said. "Every species in the galactic community is a potential threat. Every species gets studied. Every species gets contingency plans." The Predator warriors looked at each other in growing horror. "But we are allies," Zixara protested. "We fight alongside humans." "Yes," Taman agreed. "And that makes you excellent sources of intelligence. 3 years of embedded observation has given us complete profiles of your combat capabilities, tactical preferences, and psychological weaknesses." The truth hit them like a physical blow. They had not been working with humans. They had been unknowingly serving as test subjects. "Why?" Vexthar demanded. "Why go to such lengths?" "Because," General Choi said, "humans learned long ago that the universe is full of predators, and predators, by definition, eventually hunt everything else. So we study you first," Captain Lee added. "We learn how to defeat you before you decide to attack us." "But what if we never attack?" Kralnos asked desperately. "What if we remain allies?" Taman considered this question seriously. "Then you will live long, peaceful lives under human protection. We prefer cooperation to conflict." "But if we do become hostile?" Zixara pressed. "Then you will discover that humans have spent generations preparing for that exact scenario," Taman replied. "Just like we prepared for the Drakthul." The communication ended, leaving the 4 beings alone in the damaged laboratory. The Predator warriors looked at their human companion with a mixture of fear and respect. "You are not support personnel," Vexthar said finally. "No," Taman confirmed. "I am what humans call a hunter, and you are what humans call prey that does not know it yet." He began packing his equipment with efficient movements. "But as long as you remain allies, you have nothing to fear from us." "And if we wanted to stop being allies?" Zixara asked. Taman paused in his packing. For just a moment, something cold and predatory flickered in his brown eyes. Something that reminded them of the look the Drakthul had given its victims. "Then you would learn why humans are the only species in galactic history to hunt their own apex predators to extinction," he said quietly. As they prepared to leave the silent station, the Predator warriors finally understood their true place in the galactic hierarchy. They were not the ultimate predators. They were not even close. They were just another entry in humanity's vast catalog of potential prey. And somewhere in the depths of space, human researchers were already studying their next target, preparing for threats that had not even been discovered. Yet, the galaxy belonged to predators just as Commander Vexithar had claimed. But it belonged to only one species of predator, and it was not the species that anyone had expected.